The arrival expanded 1,000 words. Humanity had always been underestimated. Not by accident, but by design. The galaxy had written us off as a minor, barely interested species, confined to a single blue planet tucked away in a forgotten spiral arm. Civilizations older than our sun called us fragile, insignificant, laughable. Primitive meatbags, the Orthac High Council had whispered with smug condescension in their grand chambers. Barely functional neural networks, incapable of strategic thought beyond fire and simple tools. They were wrong. They were dangerously wrong. I was on the bridge of the Sovereign's Pride, the lead human ship in the delegation fleet, watching the alien homeworld through reinforced viewport glass. The system below glowed with the usual alien arrogance, a sprawling metropolis of spires, energy conduits, and orbital bastions. Thousands of ships shimmered like a jewel-encrusted crown, each a fortress designed to annihilate any trespasser. The Orthac had expected all. They had expected diplomacy at best. What they didn't expect was us. I let a slow, deliberate smile cross my face, the kind that comes from years of staring death in the face and finding it laughable. "Report," I barked, the words carrying across the bridge with military precision. "All fleets are in position. Shields holding at maximum. No signs of unusual activity," Commander Reyes replied. His tone was calm, but I could see the tension behind his eyes, the anticipation of someone who knows history is about to be rewritten. "The Orthac capital ships are impressive, sir." "Honestly. Impressive?" I echoed. "Yeah, I'd call them expensive. Expensive and overconfident." The bridge fell silent. Outside, the alien fleet glowed ominously, their hulls glinting with every imaginable energy signature, pulsing with latent destruction. And yet, despite the sheer magnitude of the threat, there was no fear, just a sense of inevitable revelation. Humanity had a way of making even the most arrogant civilizations rethink everything they knew about the universe. Then came the first transmission. The Orthac ambassador appeared on our main view, a shimmering gelatinous form, pulsing with colors that humans found unsettling. "Greetings, fragile ones," he gurgled, the words sliding like wet slime across the bridge speakers. "We welcome your feeble attempts at communication. Tell us, what do you bring that is of value?" I stepped forward, letting the weight of my presence fill the room. "Hope," I said, voice calm but weighted with steel. "And a little surprise." The ambassador quivered. I smiled inwardly. They were already off balance. Their arrogance, their centuries of thinking themselves supreme, had left them blind to a simple truth: humans were unpredictable. The silence stretched. 1 heartbeat. 2. Then the message detonated across every communication channel the Orthac possessed. A broadcast so simple, so elegant, it made them stop mid-gloat. It was the blue and gold insignia of the United Earth Coalition, emblazoned across every transmitter in their system, overlaid on a fleet so vast, so meticulously engineered, that even their sensors struggled to comprehend it. Ships of all classes, warships, carriers, stealth cruisers, lined up in formations that screamed military genius and unrestrained fury. They weren't just ships. They were humanity's statement: do not underestimate us. The Orthac ambassador recoiled. This cannot be. You cannot have. I cut him off. We do. And we will. His form quivered violently. You are only a fledgling species. You cannot possibly comprehend the consequences of your insolence. Try us, I said, voice cold as the vacuum outside. We've been underestimated before. We've survived worse. And now we're here. Across the bridge, my officers exchanged glances, eyes sharp and gleaming. The younger ones were trembling slightly, but the veterans were resolute. We were human. And humans thrived in chaos. The Orthac scrambled, sending out fleets of diplomats, scientists, and observation probes. They tried to negotiate, to intimidate, to bargain. Every message, every maneuver, every calculated threat they broadcast was met with silence or subtle countermeasures designed to confuse and destabilize. Humans weren't reactive, they were anticipatory. I activated the tactical display. The alien ships were arranged in what they assumed was a perfect formation, 10,000 vessels, each a fortress, each bristling with weapons capable of reducing a planet to slag. And yet, as I studied them, I realized the beauty of the human mind. The formations they trusted, rigid, mathematical, predictable, were their weakness. "Prepare the orbital broadcast," I ordered. "Let's show them exactly why humans should not be trifled with." A pulse of energy filled the bridge as our signal spread through the alien network. For the first time, I heard the faint, almost imperceptible crackle of fear, not in words, but in the alien systems themselves. Their shields wavered. Their sensors blinked. Their perfect formations buckled, not from our weapons, but from the idea of what we were. The ambassador slithered forward, tendrils flailing. We miscalculated. Your species, you are survivors," I said. "Innovators. Fighters. And yes, monsters if you push us. But mostly, humans. That's your problem." The Orthac Council would later record that moment as the first contact that shattered their confidence. They didn't see weapons. They didn't see strategy. They saw humanity. And the galaxy had never seen anything like it. In the silent aftermath, as their dread spread across the system, I allowed myself one long breath. This was only the beginning. They thought it was diplomacy. They thought they were safe. But in that quiet, calculated pause, I knew every Orthac ship, every ambassador, every High Council member was asking themselves the same question: what have we done? And deep down, I knew the answer too. They had just awakened a species that didn't negotiate under fear. They had just touched a hornet's nest made of steel, brains, and an unforgiving will. The galaxy was about to find out the truth. Humans were not a species to be underestimated. And humanity had arrived. The first strike expanded. The Orthac had assumed we would panic. They had assumed we would quiver beneath the weight of their 10,000 capital ships, each bristling with weapons designed to vaporize cities and fry the nerves of even the most seasoned soldiers. They were wrong. Humanity never panicked. We adapted. We calculated. We struck. The first shot they fired was laughable. A shimmering pulse of antimatter energy sliced through space toward our forward shields. I watched calmly, hands folded behind my back, as the pulse struck our armor with a hiss and dissipated like steam from a kettle. Not one human vessel was damaged. Not one life lost. Our shields flexed and rippled, absorbing and redirecting the attack with the precision of a surgeon. "Report!" I barked, voice low and lethal. "Forward shields holding at 100%, sir. No casualties. Enemy formation is adjusting." "They're confused," Commander Reyes replied. "Confused?" I said, letting a dark chuckle escape. "Good. Let's make them terrified." The human fleet moved. Not as the Orthac expected. Not in their neat, predictable formations that they had spent centuries perfecting. We moved like predators, weaving and curling through space with a fluidity their rigid protocols could never anticipate. Every movement was designed to exploit their blind spots. Every angle was a calculation they could not comprehend. Every shot we fired wasn't just aimed, it was personal. I keyed the command. "Open fire." "Not with weapons. With physics." There was a moment of stunned silence in the bridge as the tactical array pulsed. Then the first orbital distortion hit the lead Orthac cruiser. Hulls twisted as if caught in a cosmic blender. Shields flared. Systems overloaded. And then, in a heartbeat, the lead vessel was gone, erased from existence in a flash of warped space-time. The Orthac fleet recoiled. Communications were frantic, full of static and garbled commands. "Impossible! Our shields, our calculations, how?" I leaned forward, voice dripping with satisfaction. "You thought humans were predictable. You thought we were weak. That was your first mistake." The battle escalated, but the Orthac could not touch us. Every attack they launched was anticipated, countered, or absorbed. Our ships were faster, smarter, more lethal than anything they had faced. Missiles evaporated before they reached us. quantum torpedoes were redirected into their own formation. Entire squadrons collapsed in chaos as their sensors failed to keep up with human improvisation. "Sir, secondary fleet approaching. They've regrouped," Lieutenant Zhao reported, eyes glued to the display. "They're forming another line. They think they can overwhelm us with numbers." I smirked. "They're about to learn a lesson in futility." We had planned for this. Every human ship carried adaptive AI and quantum targeting systems designed to anticipate enemy maneuvers in real time. But what the Orthac didn't expect was our improvisation. Humans were not bound by protocol, by centuries of perfect war doctrine. We improvised. We adapted. We laughed at the impossible. The secondary Orthac lines surged toward us, shimmering in confidence. Their weapons fired in unison, a cascading symphony of death. But humanity had already answered. Gravitational distortions shredded their cruisers from within. Energy grids overloaded. Core reactors detonated in spectacular bursts. Ships that had ruled systems for centuries were reduced to nothing more than drifting shards of metal and despair. "Incoming transmission from the High Council," Reyes said. They want to negotiate. They want to surrender." I raised a hand. "Let them talk. We'll finish the lesson first." But the council was clever in one way. They had taken my brother, Jonas, hostage. Orbiting a massive bastion, he was their pawn, their leverage. Typical Orthac arrogance. Assume fear can break humans. I clenched my jaw. "No one uses my family as leverage," I muttered. "Not today." The infiltration team was already preparing. Using repurposed alien tech, stealth algorithms, and sheer human daring, they would hit the bastion like a surgical strike. I watched on the tactical feed as the human team infiltrated the station. One by one, Orthac guards were incapacitated with non-lethal precision strikes that left them screaming in confusion. Not one human casualty. Not one mistake. They moved like ghosts, like vengeance incarnate. And then I saw him, Jonas, alive but terrified. I let a grin slip across my face. "Hold on, little brother. Big brother's coming for you." The bastion was ours within moments. We didn't negotiate. We didn't plead. We took what was ours. Humanity did not compromise when it came to family, to survival, to pride. Back in the main fleet, the Orthac High Council tried to rally the remnants of their forces. But it was too late. Their formations were broken, their ships crippled, their arrogance shattered. They had never faced an enemy like this, unpredictable, relentless, and unapologetically human. I allowed myself a rare moment of satisfaction. Humanity had not just survived its first contact with an advanced alien civilization. We had dominated it. We had rewritten the rules of engagement without firing a single conventional missile. And the Orthac knew, in the marrow of their ancient bones, that they were no longer in control. "Status?" I asked, voice low and sharp. "All primary and secondary fleets neutralized or retreating, sir. Casualties minimal. Human fleet intact. Enemy morale non-existent." I nodded. "Good. Prepare for the aftermath. Send the message loud and clear. Humans do not negotiate under fear. Humans do not bow to threats. And humans always get what they want. The galaxy would never see us the same way again." The retaliation expanded. The Orthac had learned one immutable truth. Humans were not just a nuisance, they were a storm. Their retaliation came swift and terrifying. They unleashed subspace anomalies, biological weapons designed to destabilize our neural interfaces, and quantum decoys meant to mislead our fleet. Entire sectors of the battlefield shimmered with deadly traps. They believed this time they could break us. They believed fear could work where logic failed. They were wrong. I stood on the bridge of the Sovereign's Pride, watching the alien weapons slam into our formations. Shield flares erupted like violent fireworks across our fleet, but not one human ship faltered. Each attack was anticipated. Every anomaly was countered. Every virus, every quantum trick, neutralized before it even reached the hull. Our fleet was a living organism, breathing, adapting, thriving on the chaos the Orthac thought would consume us. "Sir," Lieutenant Zhao said, her voice tight with awe, "they've sent the High Commander himself. He's coming." On the main viewport, the envoy shimmered into view, a towering, opalescent mass, trembling with authority and rage. You are monsters!" he bellowed, voice dripping in alien bile. "Your species, you defy reason! You will pay for this insolence!" I leaned forward, resting my hands on the console, and smiled. "Monsters? No. Humans. And we've been underestimated your entire civilization. That's your mistake. Never underestimate a species that fights with its brains, its fists, and its stubborn refusal to die." He recoiled, tendrils quivering, his aura flickering like a disrupted hologram. "You cannot survive what we will unleash." "Oh, we will survive," I said. "And then, we will make you wish you hadn't." The High Commander's threat came too late. Their fleet's maneuvers, once precise, were now frantic, desperate. Every human counterstrike exploited the smallest flaw, gravitational anomalies tore cruisers apart, weapon grids overloaded and detonated from within, and entire squadrons folded in moments. We weren't just fighting, we were orchestrating a symphony of terror, and the Orthac were the instruments. But the personal stakes hit closer to home. The Orthac had made one desperate move. They captured my brother, Jonas, and imprisoned him on a heavily fortified bastion in orbit. A typical alien tactic: leverage fear, break morale. But humans do not break. Humans adapt. Humans retaliate. I activated the tactical overlay. The bastion was a fortress, but not a fortress built for unpredictability. Our team, the elite human infiltration unit, moved like shadows, slipping through defenses using repurposed alien technology, stealth algorithms, and sheer daring. One by one, they incapacitated the Orthac guards with non-lethal strikes, leaving them screaming in confusion. "Jonas!" I heard him whisper faintly through comms. I knew you'd come for me." I smiled, feeling a surge of determination. "Always. You know we don't negotiate when it comes to family." Within minutes, the bastion was under our control. Not a single human life lost. Every Orthac guard incapacitated or fleeing. Jonas was alive, breathing, shaken, but alive. Back in the fleet, the remaining Orthac forces panicked. Their high command had failed, their calculations obliterated by human ingenuity. And the High Commander? He realized, too late, that their tactics had underestimated the human mind. They were not simply being outgunned, they were being outsmarted, outmaneuvered, and outclassed in every conceivable way. "Sir, the High Commander is attempting surrender protocols," Reyes reported, eyes scanning the data feed. He's offering terms." I let the silence hang. Every human on the bridge knew the truth. This was not just victory. This was a lesson. Humanity did not beg, did not negotiate under fear. We didn't compromise with predators who thought themselves superior. I keyed the intercom. "Send the message to every surviving Orthac vessel. Make it clear, underestimate humans again, and there will be no negotiation next time. Only consequences." The broadcast went live across the system, our voice calm, precise, and deadly. "We are humans. We do not yield. We do not beg. We do not negotiate under threats. The galaxy has learned the hard way: never underestimate us. Consider this a courtesy warning." The Orthac's reaction was instantaneous and visceral. Fleets scattered, shields faltered, and morale disintegrated. For centuries they had prided themselves on superiority. For centuries they had assumed dominance over every species weaker than them. In one human strike, one coordinated assault, that illusion was shattered. And humanity? We emerged not just victorious, but stronger, smarter, and more terrifying than ever. We had saved our own, protected our fleet, and sent a message across the stars that could not be ignored. I looked at my crew, faces lit by the glow of the tactical consoles, eyes shining with determination and exhilaration. "They thought this was war," I said softly. "It was survival. And they just learned that humans don't just survive, we dominate. Jonas approached, slapping my shoulder with a grin. You make it sound too easy, big brother. I chuckled darkly. Easy? No. Fun? Absolutely. They made one mistake. They underestimated humanity. And that was their fatal error. Outside the viewport, the shattered remnants of the Orthac fleet drifted in silence, their once proud formations twisted and broken. And I realized, as I always did in moments like this, that humanity was not the species anyone thought they were. We were not minor players. We were apex predators in a galaxy that had yet to understand what apex meant. The first retaliation had been a warning. The first strike had been a lesson. And as the fleet reformed, ready to secure the system and make humanity's supremacy undeniable, one truth resonated across the bridge, clear as the stars outside. The galaxy would never forget the humans who had laughed at death and won. The aftermath expanded. The battlefield was silent, but the silence was not peaceful. It was heavy, charged with the echoes of destruction and the lessons the galaxy would never forget. The Orthac fleet, once a symbol of unchallenged dominance, now drifted like broken ghosts through orbit, their proud spires shattered, their command protocols fractured. Humanity had not just survived the first contact, we had rewritten it in our favor. I walked the bridge of the Sovereign's Pride, eyes scanning the tactical displays glowing with scattered alien wreckage. Lieutenant Zhao stood nearby, weapon in hand, scanning for any remaining threats. Do you think they'll ever stop underestimating us? She asked quietly, almost rhetorically. I let out a dark, slow chuckle. They'll try. They always do. But humans, we don't just survive. We adapt. We fight. We conquer. And sometimes, we make the universe wish it had never seen us. The High Council had attempted one last desperate maneuver, sending subspace messengers promising compliance, pledging loyalty, begging for mercy. I allowed the transmission to play across the bridge. Every Orthac word, every frantic plea, only cemented the reality. The galaxy had learned the truth about humanity. We were not negotiable. We were not predictable. We were apex. Jonas approached, still shaken from his captivity but alive, his face pale and streaked with grime. You really did it, he said, voice hushed. You saved all of us. I rested a hand on his shoulder. We saved ourselves. We showed them what humans are capable of. That's what counts. And don't forget, little brother, this is only the beginning. Across the system, surviving Orthac forces scrambled. Some fled, others surrendered, and a few foolish enough to resist were swiftly neutralized by our fleet. Our victory was absolute, but it was more than just military dominance. It was psychological. Every star system the Orthac controlled would hear about this defeat, and the fear of humans would spread faster than any fleet or weapon. Even our allies on Earth, politicians, scientists, and military commanders, understood the scope of what had happened. Humanity had ascended. Not through diplomacy, not through subtlety, but through raw ingenuity, relentless strategy, and the refusal to be cowed. The first contact was no longer a greeting. It was a declaration. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy had better take notice. I watched the shattered alien capital drifting in orbit. Do you think they'll recover? Zhao asked. I shook my head. Recover? Maybe. Respect humans? Never. And that's the point. We don't ask for respect. We command it. The message went out across every remaining Orthac network and every nearby civilization. This is humanity. We are not the underdogs. We do not bow. We do not fear. We do not negotiate under threat. Miscalculate us again at your peril. And somewhere deep in the void, I knew countless other species would hear it, whispering tales of the humans who had laughed in the face of annihilation and emerged victorious. Some would tremble. Some would plot. And some would finally realize what we had always known: the galaxy is vast, dangerous, and beautiful, but humanity is unstoppable. In the quiet aftermath, I allowed myself a moment to reflect. The price of victory was steep. Ships lost, lives lost, the heavy weight of responsibility pressing on every human who had taken part in the fight. But the outcome was undeniable. Humanity had proven itself, not just to the Orthac, but to the entire galaxy. We are apex predators in a universe that thought it could ignore us. I looked at my crew, each face illuminated by the dim light of the bridge, each pair of eyes reflecting the hard-earned wisdom of survival. The galaxy will learn to fear us, I said softly, almost to myself. But more than that, it will learn to respect what it cannot control. And control us? That's impossible. Jonas smiled faintly. Do you ever wonder what comes next? I paused, thinking of the countless star systems, the alien empires, the species that had scoffed at humanity for centuries. Next, I said slowly, we keep moving forward. We keep proving that humans do not bow. We keep reminding the universe that underestimating us is a fatal mistake. And if they haven't learned that yet, they will. The stars outside the viewport stretched into infinite black and gold, each one a reminder of the vast, uncharted space ahead. The galaxy had changed in one brutal, unforgettable campaign. Humanity was no longer hidden. Humanity was no longer underestimated. Humanity was supreme. And as the Sovereign's pride and her fleet prepared to chart new courses through the remnants of the shattered Orthac system, I felt that familiar rush, the thrill of the fight, the pride in survival, the certainty that we were more than capable of conquering whatever challenges lay ahead. The galaxy had learned the truth. And the humans? We were just getting started.